Hello students, welcome to another session of the chapter that is organization in living things. In the previous session we have studied that there exists a hierarchy from cells which perform a similar function to form a tissue, then tissues form the organs form the organ system forms the organism, and then the level of organization which exists higher to the level of organism. In that, the first and foremost is the population, then comes the community, ecosystem, the biome or the biosphere. So there is a hierarchy, there is a organization from a very simple organism towards more and more complexity. We have studied about different principles of how we can determine a level of organization. Then in later sessions we have studied that a tissue is a group of cells which are similar in structure and performing the same kind of function. We have discussed about the plant tissues. So when talking about the plant tissues, it is of two types, mostly the meristematic tissue and the permanent tissue. Meristematic tissues are those tissues which are present in the places where there has to be active cell division, that is the growing parts of the plant. For example, the tip of the roots, shoots, leaves, the flower. So the meristematic tissue is mainly of three types: apical meristem, that is present at the apex, the lateral meristem which is responsible for the width of the stem, and the intercalary meristem which is responsible for the elongation of the stem. Then coming to the permanent tissues of the plant, the permanent tissues are again categorized into three types: the protective tissue, supporting tissue and the conductive tissue. The protective tissue, it mainly consists of the epidermis, which is the outermost layer of the plant. The epidermis secretes a waxy substance known as cuticle, which helps in the prevention of loss of water from the plants. On the other hand, also protects the plants from the outer harsh adverse conditions. Then coming to the supporting tissues is again categorized into three types: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma is mainly responsible for storage of food. It is composed of dead cells. Then comes the chlorenchyma. It was made up of living cells. It has thickened walls, also made up of parenchymatous cells, but its main function was to provide mechanical support. Then comes the sclerenchyma, which is the third type of supporting tissues. It is also made up of dead cells and is only responsible to support the plant or to give mechanical strength. Then coming to the third type of permanent tissue in the plant, which is the conducting tissues. Conducting tissues are those tissues which helps in the transport of water and minerals from one place to another. So the tissues which help in the transport of water from the roots to the aerial parts of the stem, these are known as the xylem. And the tissues which help in the transport, or more specific word, translocation of food from the leaves to the other parts of the plant, are known as the phloem. So this was the conclusion of all the previous sessions of this chapter. In this session, we'll be discussing about the animal tissues. Now, when talking about the animal tissues, we also know that we have an epidermis, the outer layer of the skin, which gives us protection. We have muscles, we have bones, we have connective tissue that includes the blood and the limb. So we'll be studying about each and every tissue in detail in this session. So animal tissues are classified into four major groups. Like the plant tissues were classified into two types, meristematic and permanent. Similarly, the animal tissues are also categorized into four types. The first one is the epithelial or the covering tissue. The epithelial tissue is same as the epidermis. The epithelial tissue is mainly made up of the skin cells which cover our body externally as well as covers the body internally. It is present in the lining of the blood vessels and in the covering of the various visceral organs also. Then coming to the connective or the supportive tissue. Now this connective tissue, they connect different organs in the body, they connect different tissues. So this connective tissue will be mainly composed of blood and lymph. Then coming to muscular tissue has the property of contractility. When the muscle contract, there exists a movement in a body. So muscle tissue, we know that muscles are three types. The first, which are under our control, which are not under our control, and third is the cardiac muscles. Then the fourth one is the nervous tissue. This nervous tissue is related to your nervous system, that is your brain and the spinal cord. They are responsible for all the actions of your body, like they carry the stimulus from the muscles to the brain, and from there a response is generated, and when a response is generated, you perform that specific function. So this is the classification or the table which you can remember, or you can say a very easily flow chart which will help you to memorize the different types of tissues that exist in animals. So the animal tissue is categorized into 4 types. The first one is the epithelial tissue, then comes the connective tissue, the muscular tissue, and the nervous tissue. The epithelial tissue is further classified depending on the shape and size. The first one is the squamous, then the cuboidal epithelium, the third is the columnar, fourth is the ciliated. The connective tissue is of 3 types: fibrous, supportive, and fluid. Fibrous tissue में you will read about areolar and adipose. Supportive में you will read about the bone and the cartilage. Fluid में you will read about the blood and the lymph. Then coming to muscular tissue, I already told you the muscles are a 3 type: voluntary, involuntary, and cardiac. And the fourth one is the nervous tissue. In that we'll be discussing about the neurons. So this is the flow chart for your convenience. By seeing the flow chart, you can see that we have to study epithelial tissue. In epithelial tissue, you have to study 4 types of tissue. In connective tissue, there is further categorization, and in that you have to study what kind of tissue. So when making the notes of this chapter, or when studying this chapter, it is very much important for you to remember this flow chart. So we'll be starting with the epithelial tissue first. So epithelial tissue is a thin protective layer of cells. It covers the surface of the body, which is the first function, forms the lining of various body cavities and internal organs or visceral organs. Epithelial cells may be flat, cuboidal, or columnar in shape. Now the epithelial cells, they are covering the surface of the body. So they are protecting the body from microorganisms. They are forming the first line of defense. They are protecting the body from the harmful rays of the sun also. So they are basically performing the function of protection. Now these epithelial cells, they are divided on, they are again categorized depending on the shape of cells: squamous, which doesn't have any shape, cuboidal, and columnar. So now coming to squamous epithelium, they are composed of thin, flattened, scale-like cells. So this is the diagrammatic representation of squamous cells. Examples: cells of outer layers of skin. These cells are usually protective. Then coming to cuboidal epithelium. The cuboidal epithelium, it is mainly of cube shape. Examples: walls of kidney tubules. These are concerned with the function of absorption. So when we are categorizing different types of epithelial tissue, you have to remember their function. The squamous is responsible for protection. The cuboidal cells are responsible for the absorption. Now coming to columnar epithelium, they are tall column-like cells. They are cylindrical. Their nucleus is located at the base. They are responsible for the function of secretion. So secretion, where it happens in the stomach, it happens in the intestine, and in various glands, that is your exocrine and your endocrine glands. Now coming to the fourth type of epithelial tissue, which is again a columnar type of epithelial tissue, but it has one special feature, that is cilia. So these cilia, they are hair-like projections which exist on the surface. They help in the movement of substance. So they show back and forth movement like hairs, and with this movement the substance is transported from one place to the other place. At some places in the body, for example in the lining of the windpipe or in your nasal tract inside your nose, the columnar epithelium has developed cilia. Such an epithelium is known as ciliated epithelium. Now these cilia, you can easily remember, they are hair-like fine projections. So when these cilia move forward and then backward, a substance is transported from one place to another by the movement of this cilia. On the other hand, these cilia, when present in the respiratory tract, they help to moisten the air, they entrap the dust particles, and they also protect the respiratory tract from the foreign organism. Now coming to the connective tissue. Connective tissue are those tissue which helps to connect different organs of your body. It is of 3 types. Supportive connective tissue, which helps the body, which provides support to your body. Example: bones and cartilage. Fibrous connective tissue, which helps in the connection of these bones and muscles together from one to another. They are of 2 types, again tendons and ligaments. Fluid connective tissue, the most abundant fluid present in your body, which connects different organs with the blood, and then comes the lymph. So now coming to the cartilage. Cartilage covers the ends of bone. So cartilage is a flexible structure. Locations where you can see the cartilage is the tip of the nose, the pin of the ear. See, you can move this part of the ear. So this is also made up of cartilage, but it is a type of supportive connective tissue. Gives supports to certain organs such as tip of the nose, external projection of ear, and the windpipe. The trachea is also made up of cartilage which are C-shaped. Press, fold or twist your external ear and leave it. It reverts to its normal position. Now this cartilage, it has a matrix. In that matrix, they have the cells of the cartilage which forms the cartilage. These cells are known as the chondrocytes, which are present in the hollow spaces known as a lacunae. So a lacunae, it consists of chondrocytes, and these chondrocytes are present in the fluid-like substance known as the matrix. Now coming to the bone, we know the bone are the strongest part of your body. They give a supportive framework to your body. Bones are strong because of the presence of calcium and phosphorus. So bone is the main supportive structure of the vertebrates. Vertebrates you must have studied in class 6. Vertebrates are those organisms which have a specific or a very much defined vertebral column. The bone cells are embedded in the hard matrix of calcium and phosphorus salts. The matrix is deposited in the form of concentric layers around the canal, and these bone cells occupy small spaces. So what happens is, there exists a central canal, concentric layers and small spaces. Again, these small spaces are known as lacunae. Inside these lacunae, there are bone cells present which are known as osteocytes. These osteocytes are the bone forming cells. So there exist concentric rings. Now these concentric rings, when you can see here, these are the concentric rings. They are forming the Haversian system, and inside the Haversian system there is a canal which is known as the Haversian canal, and these two Haversian systems are connected with each other with the help of a Volkmann canal. Alright, so you have to remember a canal, Haversian canal, concentric layers known as the Haversian systems, then the lacunae which are present, which are small spaces. Inside the lacunae are the bone cells or the bone forming cells known as the osteocytes. Now coming to the fibrous connective tissue, it serves for packing and binding of most of the organs, that is the connecting both the organs to bind two types of organs or tissues together. It is of two types. Areolar tissue binds skin to the underlying tissue. B is adipose. Adipose tissue is mainly responsible for the collection of fat beneath the layer of the skin. So it has fat globules and it makes a person fat. It works as an insulating layer. Tendons are responsible to connect muscle to bone, and ligament are responsible to connect bone to bone. So you have to remember the difference between tendons and ligaments because it is very confusing. Simply, tendon helps to connect muscle to bone, ligament helps in connection of bone to bone. So ligament exists between the joints where there is a meeting of two different types of bones. Now coming to the fluid connective tissue, as I said, the most abundant fluid connective tissue present in a body is the blood. Blood consists of a pigment known as hemoglobin, which is responsible for carrying oxygen in your body. Now this blood is also composed of some formed elements, that is the type of blood cells. The first and the most important is RBCs, that is the red blood cells, which are also known as the erythrocytes. Hemoglobin is mainly present in these RBCs. Then comes the next type of blood cells, that is the white blood cells. They are responsible for the defense mechanism of your body. The third type are the platelets or the thrombocytes. They help in the clotting of your blood. So it is composed of both liquid and cellular parts. The liquid part of the blood is known as plasma. You must have been hearing or seeing that this plasma is of very much importance when treating the people, because plasma has its own healing property. This plasma was used very much when people were affected with COVID. So it is the liquid content of the blood, and the cellular component of the blood includes the corpuscles, that is the red blood cell, white blood cell and the platelets. Now coming to the lymph, other than the blood, there is also a type of fluid which surround the intercellular spaces or which surround the cells. This type of fluid is known as the lymph. It is essentially the plasma with some leukocytes or WBCs that has oozed out from the blood capillaries. That is the type of fluid which has been oozed out. Oozed out, like if you squeeze something, so a fluid oozes out from that. So like that only, a fluid which comes out of the blood capillaries which has white blood cells. It is present in the intercellular spaces, and this is known as the lymph. Then coming to the muscular tissue. A muscular tissue, you have to remember the muscles which have a contractile property, which also provide a supportive framework which helps in the locomotion and movement of your body. So muscle tissue forms the muscles. They can contract and relax. They help the body in its movements. Now these muscles, they are of three types: striated, unstriated and cardiac. Striated muscles are also known as voluntary muscles. That is the muscles which are present in the parts of the body that are under a control. For example, the hands. We know that when we have to pull down your hand, when we have to pull up, when we have to show movement. So all the actions which are under our control are made up of voluntary muscles, and the actions which are not under our control, that is the involuntary actions, the involuntary muscles are present there, also known as unstriated because they don't have any stripes. So they are mainly present in your visceral organs. Then comes the cardiac muscles. Cardiac is related to your heart. So these muscles, they are present in the heart. They perform the function of rhythmic contraction and relaxation. Then at last comes the nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is associated with your brain. These nerves, nervous tissue is responsible for carrying the nerve impulse from one place to the other place. So each nerve cell consists of a cell body containing nucleus, elongated hair-like extensions known as dendrites. One of these axons may be very long, sometimes as long as 1 meter, and axon bundles together and form a nerve. So this is the diagrammatic representation of a nervous tissue. So nervous tissue, first of all, it has a cell body which is also known as the cyton. This cell body has a nucleus. It also has some granules present in it which are known as the Nissel's granule, and some hair-like extension. These are known as dendrons or dendrites. Then the next part of the neuron is the axon. This axon is covered with a sheath of cells known as the myelin sheath, acts as an insulating layer. There are interruptions present in the axon. These interruptions are known as node of Ranvier, and then the axon endings known as the axon terminal. Now where the axon terminal is found, there exists the cyton of another neuron, and this is how the nerve impulse is carried from one neuron to the other neuron. So this is the bundle fibers of axons. So when many type of axons, they collect together. Axons are the other parts of the nervous tissue. One is the cyton and the other is the axon. So different type of axons, they form a bundle to form a nerve. So a nerve can contain different type of axons, and by this we come to the end of this session. In this session we studied about different types of animal tissue. So when studying about animal tissue, you have to remember the flow chart that we have discussed in the starting of the session. That is, the animal tissue is of 4 types: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue was performing the function of protection. It is again categorized depending on the shape: squamous, cuboidal, columnar, and columnar epithelium which have hair-like projections. They are known as ciliated epithelium. Then comes the connective tissue. It is again divided into certain categories. In that you have to study supportive connective tissue, your bones and cartilage, your fibrous connective tissue, tendons and ligaments, and fluid connective tissue, your blood and lymph. Then you have to study about the muscular tissue, which is again divided into 3 categories: striated muscles, unstriated and cardiacs, and at last the nervous tissue. So that is all for this session. Thank you so much.